And just when we thought pandemic chaos could go no further, rows of semi-trucks amassed along Canadian borders, blocking essential goods from traveling to and fro, threatening perishable loads, meat, fruit, even vegetables. Sparked by growing anger over mandates to show vaccination passports at our country's gates, slow rolling freedom convoys feature complaints, clogging highways with no thought of restraint. Gargantuan 18-wheelers won't be moved. It's just not happening, these drivers proved, by blocking choke points other long haulers need for their livelihood so they can't proceed. Tow truck drivers refused to touch this blockade, fearful that they'd never live down the part they'd played. If they helped the cops, opponents would close ranks and kill their businesses. So sorry, no thanks. Big rigs dwarf police cruisers so small, parked side by side, impenetrable wall, completely self-sufficient, with no shortfall, living in their cabs, they can forever stonewall. Thank you.
I knew you wouldn't be with me forever, but I thought death would take you away. Everything we had has ended, yet there was so much more to say. I gave my love so willingly. I lived to help you live. Now it's just a shadow, but there was so much more of me to give. You see, it never was enough for you, no matter what I did. You always took things personally. My heart forever hid. When I tried to tell you how you hurt me, it all became my fault. Your wall became so thick, so high, my voice again shut out. You'd rather walk away, it seems, and end what should have been, than listen to my heart, our relationship to redeem. Now you're gone forever, but death was not the price to pay. I will always love you, but what we had has gone away.
My name's Jamie. I go to the University of Lethbridge. So, good times, bad times. Yeah, okay. Here we go. If you want to see previous stuff I've done, I performed in the Calgary Can You Hear Me Now 2019 Poetry Slam, so that's something else I've done. Yeah. Okay, here we go. There is a monster in my dreams, a malformed chimera with 1,000 eyes. When it smiles, I taste acid in my throat, its malicious gaze burnt into my nerves. The monster breathes in innocence and exhales hostility and fractured hope. Chasing me through the boundless halls, my frenzied night mind perpetuates. It fades and flickers with every blink. A true form my mind never registers, abandoned to the fabrications of my own imagination. There is a monster in my dreams, a phantasm of my own making. As its presence nears closer, I feel a pulsing in my heart, disembodied resonance and delusion, a deceptive yet delicious revelry. My feelings and fears must be distorted in this fragment of subconscious, severed from their eternal source and lost to the depths of my mind. There is a monster in my dreams. It embraces me with its disfigured limbs, a touch as tender as it is callous, fraught with heat and violent passion, yet cold-blooded and unconcerned. I surfeit on these sensations to lick apart this world of paradoxes and contradictions, a paroxysm of delirious ecstasy, cataclysmic in its outburst of pure, unbridled desire, lacking knowledge of bodily limitations or boredom. This monster is nothing but the child of my own imagination, not a devil or a demon, but an expression of my inner self merely banging at the boundaries of its fleshy prison. There is a monster in my daydreams, no longer a nightmare, but a daymare, galloping freely from thought to thought, where confabulation lays its newborn foals and derides its own delusions. The monster rests in the crevices of my soul and makes itself known in moments of fragility and emptiness, waiting to glut itself on its own insatiable desires. I am the monster from my dreams. It is a part of me that was always there, waiting to take on fully formed shape and sing a requiem for innocence, lost in the abyss of human conscience. The shattered pieces of my identity could be swept up and thrown away if I stopped picking up the pieces and trying to stitch them together. Someday, I must say farewell to the monster from my dreams, slip out of its safe yet sadistic embrace, and discover the forgotten vulnerability sequestered within its deepest recesses. Someday I will say farewell to the monster from my dreams. Let it rest for the rest of time, vanished into the fantasy it was born from. Lost in my mind, this monster I enshrine. No longer shall it and I intertwine.
Remember that student that I had a forbidden crush on and things were not happening, so this is sort of an epilogue. There will be swear words in both poems, more so in the second one. Ryan, sorry. The first one is called Franken You. I better give you up. I better keep my social distance from you, so that I can't smell the fragrance of your manhood that always lures me back. I better come to reason. I better rub my hands with sanitizer vigorously, so that I snap out of fantasizing about my fingers threading your beard into a Viking braid. I better accept the reality that soon you will be elsewhere with the else one. I will stay else here, yearning. This is more than just 2 years of bodily fluids evasion. If glory holes were safe, then why were they testing the excrements for viral load? When I met you, I saw you and heard you and inhaled you. I was under the false impression that I was beginning to understand you. I desired you, then I imagined you, then I invented you. This is the real you. This is my Franken you lover that I created from the pieces and parts of the previous Franken lovers. They didn't last long. The real you should go elsewhere. The real you should be with the else one. Your philosophy is a better fit to else one's ear. Your tongue is a better match to else one's genitals. I never really met you, the real you. This is not a poem about the real you, really. I only ever deserved the Franken you. The Franken you, not the real you, has been the object of my desire and the object of all my poems. Franken you and I have already shared so many moments together. He is a great talker, excellent cook, and an even better lover. And my Franken you is staying else here with me forever. To the real you, bon voyage, stay awesome, show them what you're worth, blah, blah, blah. Though, don't lose my number. One never knows when Franken lover may need new spare parts.
I hope y'all heard my mom before. Love her. She's my mom. Love her to bits. Okay. Okay, this song is dedicated to one of my friends that he passed away a year ago. So today is like kind of his year anniversary from when he passed. So that has been a pickle today, but this is for him. I'll keep you close to me. I'll show you the way it could be. As long as we're together, I'll show you the wind and the waves. As long as we're together. All the things we could do. All the things we could have done. I'll keep you close to me. I won't lie to you. I've also never done poetry, so this is my first poem.
So I wrote a little introduction that I'm gonna read first. Good evening. Thank you all for taking the time to hear this very brisk collection of my writings. This is my first time doing something like this. Most introductions to artists, thank you. Most introductions to artistic things are nice, I think. This one's okay. Just to note, I won't be using any elaborate or convoluted language to entangle the cohesion between lingual symbolic apparats, postured, and the metaphysical cognitive perception of you, the listener, as I find that somewhat pedantic and plodding. Instead, these few poems will present direct sonic glimpses into my individualistic experiences in a way that you may be able to project your ideas and beliefs, whatever your ideas and beliefs are, onto. If that is the case, then I have done my job, and I'm a happy writer, and you presumably will be something else. Thanks. So I'll start with a short essay on a midnight snack. So to define a midnight snack, we must first, there we go, the lighting's a little better. We must first understand the physical and temporal dimensions of midnight and snack. Midnight arises for precisely an instant, but is contagious, entrapping all moments between neighboring hours, while in some occurrences, it is known to spread even further. A snack, too, is nebulous, composed mostly of its contextual application, and although murky, falls somewhere on the game board between healthy and toxic, yet always, in all cases, contains one unchanging characteristic. Snacks are always a bit flimsy. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. Feel like I see you guys every few months. Once every few months. Hopefully this time it's like every month. I just found out I was gonna show up here this afternoon, so we're gonna revisit some old poems. One of them is called Reflections. As I peel off the layers of me that I thought I was, but I'm not, the outdated conditioning that taught me to always reach for perfection that doesn't exist, the learned notion of always striving for the next thing that stops me from tuning in. The layers are thick. As I restore myself to unity, I'm observing that my habit is to run. I don't like to slow down. My mind likes to jump from one thing to the next. I'm afraid of what I'll find if I sit still with my heart. I'm at a whole new level of digging. What will I dig up this time? I notice that I'm breathing shallow. I don't want to lose control. I slow down my breath, remind myself to take deep breaths. I want to meet me at one. I speak to my heart gently. We're going to be all right. Anything I dig up, we're ready to look at this time. It is safe. Anything that shows up, we have the tools to handle. We are going to be all right. The vibration's so intense in every cell of my being. I'm not just feeling my own. I can hear the waves. It's the entire planet. We're all feeling it together. I close my eyes. I breathe into each particle of my being. Today, if we all left our names behind, we would all meet at I am. Through my breath, I connect to you all, my dear humanity. In love and unity, together we heal. Let go of your fear. I invite you to meet me here. This is how we help each other, by coming back to who we are. In silence, on our next breath, I am you, you are me, and we are one. Thank you.
Hello, very excited to be here. All right, so I'm gonna start with the ranty poem, which is a little darker, and then I have a motivational little ditty I wrote for myself, well, that I'm sharing, that I wrote last week. So this one doesn't have a name yet, it just starts like this. I see you've been suffering. He done gone and missed the mark again. Even unintentional neglect can be quite abrasive. With this love, you have to shake it or embrace it, plant roots or turn the page and deem it friend. Requests are made, the groundwork laid, to avoid disastrous emotional shred. Hashed out the specifics, even when conversation feels quite prolific. History states 'tis bound to repeat and retread. With thy will and natural optimism, I blindly, bloody and gashed, dish out the vital, four-chambered, two-ventricled organ, served up for more clumsy attacks. Relax. Deep vibrations resonate. Apologies lash cochlea's intricate inner workings. Recognition of mistakes and admission of flawed reactions received. The most important thing for me is to know that I won't live it again. That's truly the majesty of reassurance I seek, the integrity I need to be swayed to believe, the great reprieve of the rare but relentless cycle of teary words unheard, blurred and bound, to either dismantle or, if digested and distinguished, rapture my world with the slow and smooth stilling of the day's deafening chatter. With all my soul's fury, I yearn for the latter. Thank you.
I've been seriosified this past month with everything in the news, so I wrote a couple of poems that express some of my frustration. Our responsibility to be informed. How do you get your news? How do you live out your citizenly responsibility to be informed? In times of war, it feels like we must keep up with it all. We must know which cities are now occupied by the enemy. We must watch the crowded lineups of women and children escaping the country while they can. We must keep up 3, 5, 9 times a day as our phones ping another notification of death, of suffering. We feel good knowing these things, keeping up with the latest. We're being responsible, well-formed citizens, aren't we? We even think we really know what's going on, forgetting that the first casualty of war is truth. But what is really going on? And did you hear about the other news? That in Red Deer, healthy twins were born to a couple who'd yearned for 10 years for a child, and now they have 2. Did you hear about the family in Calgary whose grandparents needed to move into assisted living? They renovated their home so that the grandparents could move in with them. Did you hear that in schools all around the world, teachers gently taught little ones how to read? And not just today, but every day. Or that in every hospital, in every nation, the nurses cared for their patients and lives were saved. Be conscious of what news you take in. What's really going on? A lot more than we're told.
So something happened to me. Well, obviously that little horseback riding accident a couple of weeks ago, for sure. But no, I found the best poem, or the poem that I absolutely love for this period of my life. And saying this, actually, I quite don't know right now what my age is. Something in the 30s. And it's about missing a person that's gone for some reason or the other, and I try to convey the feeling that I had when I read that poem to you by adapting that poem a little bit. The poem I'm talking about is called Miss You from Gabrielle Calvo-Corresi, and if you don't know her yet, check her out, I love her. Miss you. Miss you traveling, lots of different countries. Miss you before you crossed one too many paths. I've seen you walking, seen you not walking anymore. I've heard you singing, opera-style singing. How did you do it? Maybe you're wondering now as well. Wish you were not. Brain damage. Wish you would heal if you just could. Why did that kudu jump into your car? Why was it right there that second, and not a second later, or not there at all? Miss you running until you're jumping. Wish you were singing until you scream. No, I will be waiting. No, I don't even know how long at all. Thanks so much.
Mental illness. I'm almost got into it with a bouncer tonight. The danger that besieges in my brain. These guys are no different than police, insisting their ideology of being judgmental suits them just fine with their big arms, savvy looks, and instinct. I can't help but be paranoid these latelys. Somebody isn't coming to save me. This installed brain chemistry gives people a different impression about me. I'm not lost across the table. I see my neurons hinge on instant identification. I was there tonight for the P's and the B's that enrich the copper-type mechanisms. I felt the most insecure tonight than I've ever felt in a long time. I was there, all these millennial citizens juggernauting judgment across their faces. I hated how it felt to be spelled about in that clout. My mom was a bouncer. I was hate attacked in college by a gangster bouncer. He got the girl and he got the respect, but that's the animal kicking, isn't it? I'm obsessed with this conflict. I'm obsessed. The obsession. You know, the conception is right there in litigation. I was triggered by this giant man because I associate with being attacked and being laughed at. I haven't been written stories or lately. Mental illness pouring itself, a rainstorm in the decision. I want a card for the first time in a long time that says I'm autistic. That's how scared he made me feel. I don't socialize normally. On medication, it switches constantly on me. I just woke up, I'm sad. People walk in and immediately discriminate, always drinking the alcohol-based trait. I was on my bike with a broken pedal. Everyone else driving 40,000 economy, dressed nicely. I felt that discrimination elimination. I'm not following friends again like that anyways. So that's the first one.
To my friend who passed away on Valentine's Day this year. But he was a lot more than a friend. He was like a father to me. So I'm gonna cry, I know already. Farewell, Joe Szabó. His Hungarian name is Szabó József. You joined the path of the stars, and you walk freely and lightly without a cane. We sob and cry because you are gone, but feel blessed because you were here with us. Your memory lives in our hearts forever, as much as our gratitude for all you have done for us. Many of us found a home with you. You have taught us honor and love. It's painful to let you go, but we feel relieved knowing you don't suffer anymore. Rest in peace, Joe. May the angels protect you. And the next one is about somebody I know, and it's called Her Gypsy Soul. She has the spirit of an eagle, likes to soar with the wind and see every nook of the world. She is drawn to the water like a mermaid and swims in the ocean, the lakes, and rivers, and is happy when water surrounds her body. She is in her full element in the woods, or when she wanders the prairies where the buffalo roam free. Nature is her happy place. It fulfills her heart and suits every cell of her body and mind. You can find her on top of canyons, admiring the land and the sunsets. You can find her elated under the stars and see her rising with the sun to see a new place. Her gypsy soul yearns to wander, to soar with the wind, to see the sunsets, the stars, and every nook of the world. Thank you.
I haven't been writing as much lately, but I wrote a poem for one of my friends the other night, and I decided I would share this one. And it's a little bit longer than some of my usual ones. Sorry, Teri.
That's okay.
Yeah, so I will go right into that. I wish you could see yourself the way I see you. I need sunglasses sometimes. Your energy is that bright. Life has dealt you a hard hand. Do not argue with me. Anytime a person feels this much, it means life will be hard and beautiful. With the highest highs come the lowest lows. We medicate and say that is mania, and sometimes it is, and sometimes we're just high on life, which naturally means it's also going to bring us low. So low that our hearts feel as if they cannot take another blow, as if we were being pulled apart by a pair of hands who know no mercy, screaming for relief, screaming for it to end. We try anything, even when we know better. I wish that you could see the way I see you, strong, brave, beautiful, fiery, determined, loyal, passionate, smart, resilient, all the shit you've walked through, and here you are again. You get better every time. I see the difference. I see the distance. You are miles beyond the girl you were a year ago, even 6 months, but it doesn't feel so far when we're stuck in the trenches. Take a deep breath. You've walked through fire again. This latest episode was hard, but think of it this way. Maybe you aren't as used to the fire's touch anymore. Maybe you walked back in because the pain seemed worth it, and maybe that's okay. One thing I do know, whatever comes to you, you will be able to handle it. I have seen you walk through it before with far less tools or conviction. You are worthy of a love that ignites fires within you, not one who sends you to their depths to see if you can survive. Survive you have, but what about thriving? What would it look like to thrive? What would it feel like to thrive? How would we know if we had never walked through fire? We want the pain to go away. I know, my love. It clenches your heart and tears your chest apart, clamping a vice on your throat and covering your mouth, smothering your screams while your soul is shredded in pieces, stabbing again and again. With every beat of your heart, my love, I know the pain. but you have survived again and again and again. You are stronger, smarter, wiser every time. For every fire you've walked through, you've learned to avoid 3 more. I've seen it. I know how far you've come. Let me remind you again and again and again of how worthy you are, how enough you are, and how magic you are. Your essence spreads out and touches everyone around you. It's tangible, and yet, who can describe it? This hope you bring, the honesty, the vulnerability. It takes big feet to walk in your shoes, and I find so many men have little feet. So stop trying to give a spoiled prince the crown of a king. A queen needs a king who can stand on his own 2 feet, who can challenge her when needed, not shrinking under her fire, but can hold space for all of her. Even if he doesn't understand all of her. If he cannot hold the space, he cannot hold the queen. It has never been because the queen was not enough. She has been far more than they have been capable of holding. Their clumsy hands make her falter until she recognizes who she is and has been all along. A glorious phoenix rising from ashes, taking breadcrumbs from the table is no longer an option. Beautiful, strong, magnificent. She flies high, learning to ride the wind. She crashes less and less, picking herself up, dusting herself off, believing in herself and her dreams because she has gotten herself this far. She has never quit. She has kept on fighting. She has kept on walking. She has cried many hours. She has seen the morning sun after the darkest of nights because she is a queen who is just now finding her power, power that has been forged from her pain. I see all of this in you, and I wish you could see yourself the way that I see you.
I remember the smiles of my past, the happy, hopeful warmth surrounding us, the faces of my childhood engraved on my heart, certainty that everything would work out. I remember pain and loss and confusion, the faces shattering alongside my heart, hands running through tangled hair, tugging as if the hurt would rip out too. I remember smells and sound, kept only in memory, never to be encountered again. The only consistencies in my life are anxiety, hurt, and obsession, the only things that tether me to my old life, the only things reassuring me that it was my life. The happy faces of my childhood have turned cold. I remember a smiling, curly-haired baby who I held tightly in my arms. Now her face is filled with sorrow, and she no longer wants to be held. I remember the arms that once held me, now laying under the earth, cold and alone, my body left craving the comfort they once gave me. I feel so distant from that girl. How was that my life? Even the tangled hair falls different now. Once heavy curls, now falling straight, dry, and lifeless. Once strong legs, now broken and scarred, unable to straighten, the muscles atrophied and weak. 20s were supposed to be the good years, but I feel as though I've lived 1,000 lives, been 1,000 people. When I close my eyes, I see no future anymore. No hopes, no dreams, just darkness. Cold soil embracing my body. I feel as though my time has come, as if my black hair has turned gray and my skin has wrinkled. I don't belong here anymore. Thank you.
This one's got a call and response part. So listen close, and when I point at you, you should be able to figure out what I want you to say. The horny old ram told the rest of the flock, I ponged something awful and I got a head like a rock. But I beat the unicorns to get us tickets on the ark. And keep in mind, those one-horned devils beat the triceratops. It was sudden death, elimination. Chorus. So who the ram? You say, You the ram. Okay, let's go now. So who the ram? You say, I say, yes, I am. And don't you flock forget it. Sure, I'm a snappy dresser, but it's heavy and it's cold. Trust me, my little lambs, you don't want a fleece of gold. Every time you turn around, some schmuck's trying to shave you bald. So I'd dry in my horns if I were you and trot back in the fold. Don't just stand there looking sheepish. Chorus, so who the ram? Indeed I am. If you forget it, you'll regret it. You there with a long face, you look like a lamb that loves to gamble. When I was young, the ewes and I would ramble through the brambles. Don't you go by me, little lamb, be humble. If you lock horns with me, come prepared to rumble. So who the ram? Indeed I am. The woolly one and only. Thank you.
Just gonna do two quick short ones for you. All right, this one's called Prisms. I see colorful visions that can brighten and lighten any prison. It's pure division that keeps my diction harder than the misconceptions of fiction. You're all blinded by what's fed to you while you lie in the fetal position. Chess pieces placed around your head as the king cheats with his mistress. Tables have turned as jesters fester the system. A lone wolf cannot rock the boat enough to cause friction. But you're determined to stand tall and not let them pass judgment, putting you between glass walls. A show of faith that humanity can stand tall, but our freedom was never really ours at all. All right, this one's called I Dream of You. At night and in daydream, your presence so bright. Even in the darkest room, your soul brings light. But soon my vision turns to doom. You fade, pale, and wash out. My deepest fears slowly come true. The longing and long days turn to doubt. Nobody but my inner ghost can hear my inner screams and shouts. As the memory of you flounder about, I sit and wonder how this will all turn out. My internal tears fill my lungs and choke me out. I cough in panic and affliction from a beautiful side glance to spilled blood in the kitchen. As I drag myself across the thorny fields, I reach desperately for your hand that's held back, but you're one step ahead of me. Your aura floats steadily as sunspots get the best of me. I guess love isn't really my destiny. So for now, the wolves and vultures can share every single piece that's left of me. Thank you.
My body is sore and my eyes are stinging and my throat is burning and I can't breathe through my nose and my shoulders slump in defeat and my voice is all cracks and breaks and my lips are bleeding from being bitten raw and my hands shake and my ears bleed from exhaustively loud music and my thoughts are screaming and my fears have a shrine for themselves and my clothes are getting too big and a joint sounds so good right now, and this room is dark and it holds me in fiendish arms, and I pray to a power I don't even believe in, and I'm exhausted, but my eyelids seem to have a different plan in mind, and my insides are on fire from vomiting, and thank God I did laundry when my last episode ended, and my bones feel like they're all ready to snap, and my joints all make popping sounds when I finally find my way out of bed, and I miss you so much, and I can feel my heart being torn and scattered and pulled apart, and I'm running out of ways to make you smile, and I can't even make myself smile, and my body is red from all the times I've clawed at my skin, and I wish you could see how much I love you, and I wish I could find myself with you and get drunk off your scent and get high off your smile and get lost in your eyes. Thank you. All right, number 31. Consider this. If hearts had doors, mine would be adorned with poison-tipped thorns.
It would be the trial orchestrated by Parvati, the tears of lovers left behind her. My heart would cry out, "Give me the love I deserve," and still the vines would clench, until a stranger would come with the shining light of 1,000 suns, and he would coax these treacherous branches. They would ease away, oh so incredibly slowly, but he would remain steadfast. By a miracle of sorts, the thorns would fall away. The branches would curl unto themselves. The ethereal heart with its once dear vines would succumb to the seductions of the stranger, finding that he was always welcome in this dark reprieve. He would see the flora's rebirth, the way the blossom's scent drifted over him, how delicately the vines encased the heart. This would be the heart's renewal, a happiness that once could never be hers, roaming lost in forests of shame and guilt. It would find refuge here and light anew this once tortured heart. Thank you.
Fingers of green stems thrust through black soil in pots, bringing their fronds along for backup. Next to them on the south deck, I press my legs' length on vinyl warmth, all the better to lie with long-lost heat at last. My neck arches like a tuning fork, vibrating to a silver-sounding spring sky that blasts my shuttered eyelids blind. Wobbling below, my white winter legs gobble the sun like 2 more stems. That's it. And this one's called Attuned. I think I might have read this one as well, but quite a while ago. On Bach's birthday, 2 high-flying young men tilt effervescent. Violins sing silver above our heads, while at eye level, a middle-aged woman sits, holding down the bass line, speaking to us. Her viola da gamba swells between her knees in fecund curves of deep blood red. Delicate fingers on frets manage the bulk. The other hand balances a bow with ease. Dishing hypnotic hum, nasal with need. Felt sound tugs at our viscera, takes us for a ride that sounds like our own voices, feels like our own lives. Spilling from the conservatory in meditative mode, the ebullience of an April morning assaults us first. Then we see a lone spectacle, standing still and quiet on the concrete, gazing fixedly across the road. Her partly shaved, tattooed wound of a head screams for attention. Blue hair shimmers like metal in a mohawk cut, stiff and straight up. A borrowed warrior stance that teeters defiantly on a pale young woman's head as she leans slightly forward, bowed beneath its weight. A tight black Gothic outfit, further minimizing her base. Walking past her lost eyes, unseen, I can hear a discordant whine or some atonal dirge playing on and in her vulnerable mind. Leaving her behind, I feel a clutch of anguish and regret. I should have enfolded her, could have clasped her bare swan neck, could have murmured a lullaby in her seashell ear, pulling her back from the labyrinth, unlocking her tears.
Writing has become as necessary to my own survival as sleeping or eating. Only black holes in space really understand this. Today, I will collect my thoughts and condense them in a poem, which I'll then throw out into the vast, dark, and quiet void like a frisbee. Thoughts are elements of consciousness, almost insignificant individually, but collectively comprise that alternate stuff of the universe scientists call antimatter, which I think makes up the intrinsic synaptic network of cosmic consciousness, without which matter simply would not exist. But science seeks a macroscopic view of consciousness by utilizing an imperfect instrument of observation, i.e. the human mind, which is microscopic in nature. So it must perform a miracle of contortion to turn itself inside out, hoping to study consciousness by utilizing itself as the instrument of observation, not unlike looking into a mirror hoping to see what's inside your head. And in doing so, it ineffectively mistakes little bits of useless information for intelligence or knowledge, maybe even wisdom, obsessively collecting as many of these little bits as possible, like flies in a jar, never to realize the actual nature of consciousness itself. Poems, however, are distilled thoughts that collectively allow for the multifarious elements of consciousness floating about in the universe like lost frisbees to combine with others, condensing, compressing, cohesing, and concentrating into the super-dense antimatter of consciousness in the process. If you're attuned to it, you can probably feel it right now here in this room. Black holes, then, are like naked hatchlings in scattered precarious nests, straining their open beaks outward like microwave receivers, reaching for the primordial stuff of the conscious universe. Since consciousness, and therefore antimatter, is aligned with this stuff, the work of the poet, along with other artists, is to put enough of it out there in the void to refute the commonly held view that the material aspect of our existence is where it's all at.
I'm afraid I've stopped making sense. Sense? Sense? A penny for my thoughts. Discoveries were made today, to you, from me, for her, to be. Perhaps a little bit closer to see what's right, what's wrong. See, I'm not crazy. Some days I think I've gone mad, or I've always been this way. Eyes and heart focus, insanity is far more beautiful than I imagined. To write a good book, read a good book. To be a good person, meet a good person. To thirst for more, find those with salt. For that's what we need the most, capacity to absorb more. More or less? Less is more. Step 1, be in the moment. Step 2, enjoy the moment. Wakey, wakey, everyone, the ego is on the way. The stories, the triggers, hold space, something about masculine energy, so much more. Subconscious knows it will all be okay, cause every little thing is gonna be all right. Eat better, not that, only fat, the good kind, organic, grass-fed, grass-finished, I think, I don't think, I feel. Vitamins, tissue salts too, not tested on animals, I swear. Is that still okay? I vote yes. Wait, we still vote, right? No, we don't vote. Voting is for chumps. Drink more water. No, not that water. That's fluoride. Numbers are magic, so are words. I'll be 33 this year, so I'm Jesus, right? Do less, do more. Or so you can do less of more. Care about yourself, to care about others, but be sure to detach, to properly attach. Let's escape this madness, or don't. Escape equals guilt, avoidance. Avoid the dance. Nah, dance. Try to dance. Escape from bondage. Bondage didn't hurt nobody. Or it did. Run away, run towards, stop. Sometimes showing up for your healing is doing nothing. Learning to just be. Go to the mountains. Find a raven or 3. 2 flaps, a soar, I love this more, in a world where nothing is clear. Watch it all disappear, letting go of everything. We can fly upon the wing of the raven who walked me home. Home inside my head, and yes, earlier I said I make no sense. Just trying to make $1 out of 15 cents? Cents, what sense? Pennies aren't even a thing anymore. Romanticize your life, make it much more magical than it is. Because where you put your energy is where it will grow. Where the focus will go, oh, I don't know. Onward and upward, off we go at last. Comfortable sanity, in my sanity, this hippie insanity.
Reality evokes no conflict, but inside I scream in rage. What are these voices inside fighting for attention, as reality just is, unapologetically? Should've, could've, would've. The inner dialogue continues on and on. But if I'm the schizo behind all the voices, then who's the one listening? It's me, it's all me. The voices are just echoes of the past, the wrappings of now irrelevant instructions once thought to provide protection. But now they hang like the dead husk of a chrysalis, held in place by the glue of stagnant emotion. As the anger, fear, sadness, and despair flow down my cheeks and out my throat, the husks fall away and I'm revealed as new.
All right, this poem has no title. Enraged in her own cage, she chooses excuses, lies in her eyes, blinded by recycled cycles, flirting with hurting, trying to gain from pain, but instead addictively losing and bruising. Clouded perception blocking her reception, she scours for power, confused, believing she's too bruised, forgetting her divinity, resenting her femininity, concentrating on overcompensating for what she seems to lack, a simply built-up plaque, building layers to protect the false prayers of being saved if she was well behaved. No one is coming, so she continues numbing, digging a deeper hole in her soul. Enough! This is too tough. Half living, feeling unforgiving, she sits and sifts, wondering how within herself she could accept all that she swept and left unkept, not choosing the courage to see about a more authentic way to be. She removes the litter that was used to create a needless filter, softly embracing rejection as an opportunity for quiet reflection. No longer dependent on external acceptance. All that isn't her dissolves, giving no need to resolve the insulated hatred that her fear created. Nothing to protect, nothing to neglect. With a stronger foundation, she lets go of expectations. She knows fragility creates rigidity, and vulnerability breathes room for tranquility. It's okay to feel, even through what seems impossible to heal. She can hold her tears while letting go of the appeal to conceal. Standing tall, she can no longer play small. She removed belief and with that let go of her grief. She was never victimized. She was born immunized. Still free all along to sing her unique life song. No longer steeped in thought, she lets go of all the unhelpful things she was taught. Everything is seen and given attention to become serene. Now she directs the knife to whittle the life she wishes to lead, carving paths of opportunity, drawing in a powerful community of healers and thought leaders, land lovers and foraging brothers supporting one another. Without labels, she sets tables for others to feast together in peace. She has a vision, a felt sense of non-division. I look at her and I see me. I see we breaking free from our history.
I don't know how to write a love poem. I don't know how to express the emotions of my fluttering heart into words. It's also hard because love poems are the only poetry that get the most attention. It becomes hard to be original when every line has already been used. The roses are red, violets are blue, your smile. I get so lost in the thought of your smile, I can't even finish the rhyme. The way it lights up the room and the laugh that accompanies it like the sweet melody. Your eyes, the beauty of those eyes, the pain of everything you've been through, shining through a veil of resistance and strength, a beauty all the artists in the world could only dream of. I want to hold you and give you all the love that you deserve. Express that any time I see you, my heart melts into a million fluttering butterflies. Talk about cliche. But it's hard to tell you how I feel when you're my best friend. Yet another cliche. Fell in love with my best friend. What a tragedy. Shakespeare should be jealous. And now I weigh the possibility of becoming more than friends, because you've let slip that you feel the same way. And I want to give you the rarest diamond in the world, pull down every star for you, carve your name on the moon. But what if that's not enough? What if I can't give you the love you deserve? What if something goes wrong? What if we end up hating each other and I lose you forever? I can't risk that. I can't let that happen. Have all our memories turn bitter, turning the thought of you from making me smile into making me cry. I can't risk that. Having your smile break my heart pains me to think about because I love you. I'll never stop loving you. You are the sun that shines in the morning, the warmth that makes this life worth living, and I could never risk that for anything else, anything more. I would rather have you by my side as my best friend until eternity. And so here we remain, agreeing that friendship is better than the risk of romance, with so much more on the line, hearts being pressed together. At any point, one of them could crack. But friendship is different. It's a path of holding hands, being there for one another no matter what. We know that. We've been through so much already. So as long as I get to keep you by my side until the end of time, I'll gladly call you my best friend. And yet, 2 years later, here we are. The very thing I didn't want to happen is now my reality. Thinking this was the best option, this was the way, but it was not. Looking back now, I clearly see that love like this was only going to hurt. No matter what decision was made, we both wind up here. Wind up strangers. The fire burned too quickly and too hot, and it burned both of us. Scars. The painful reminder of what once was, of what we were, or what we could have been. I was so naive, so stupid, and now I can't help but cry when I think of you. All the memories turn bitter at the mention of your name. The sight of your smile break my heart at what once was. But one thing still stands. To this day, even after all this time, I still love you. Thank you.